Hi, I'm Crystal Fry, and I'm going to speak to you about my intercultural experience of a Hmong wedding. Hmong weddings have very different traditions from our American weddings. Hmong traditions are something that takes a little bit to get used to, and it seems out of the norm for Americans. Women prepare all of the aspects of a wedding, from clothing to fields, if you have an outside wedding, to food, the decorations, making sure the dowry is taken care of, making sure the animal is prepared. It is quite the undertaking. Where an American wedding, you do that as well, but this is a whole different level. They also, in a wedding, will cut up the meat. And when I say cut up the meat, someone will donate a cow or a pig, and the women are in charge of cutting that up and using every part of it. They waste nothing. You are now part of a family. Now, when you're married in an American wedding, you are part of a new family. This actually is a little bit more of a disowning. When you are married and you are female in a Hmong wedding, you go to a different family. You are a little bit of disowned in your own family, and your husband's family becomes your mother and father. And Hmong tradition, the father of the groom must pay a dowry to the bride's family. It's usually a cash exchange, possible livestock or land. That is not something that was still practiced in an American wedding. My coworker was preparing a wedding for her brother. Part of her job as a female Hmong person was to be able to do this for her brother, and she had to go and pick up the animal, and she had to do all of the processes that were necessary, and it wasn't even her wedding. So I found this very interesting, and I wanted to learn more about her culture. My coworker's name was Si Zhang, and I was able to watch this process, and it was quite fascinating. So most of the facts that I have regarding this wedding, I received from her. Today, I'd like to share what I learned at the wedding, the differences between an American wedding and a Hmong wedding, some of the Hmong traditions, and a little bit about the married couple and if they have children. First, the differences in our weddings are quite obvious from the beginning. American weddings do not cut up their own meat. They don't use everything. It's typically at a rehearsal hall, and there's typically meals catered in. Hmong weddings, they have in a field or at someone's house. The bride is not included in the family tree. There is a family tree. It's a little literal tree that has every male member in the family listed. However, the women in the family are not listed. The bride also doesn't take the groom's last name often. In the case of my coworker, she does not have her husband's last name. Where in an American wedding, the tradition would be for you to take your husband's last name, or in some cases, the husband takes your last name. The difference between the Hmong wedding and the American wedding, women, as I stated, have prepared everything right down to using every bit of whatever animal that is donated or purchased. The gifts are only given to the bride's family. They're not husband and wife gifts. You don't bring a wedding gift for the couple. It actually goes to the bride's family because they are losing a family member. Some of the traditions is the father and mother of the bride actually give her a necklace that she's to wear always, and that necklace symbolizes that she is now married. And it's kind of like our wedding ring. While they do wear a ring in most cases, they also have a necklace, and that symbolizes that they are taken. There is a live chicken that is given to the bride and groom. It is to symbolize good luck and a whole part of their marriage. Now let's talk a little bit about the differences. The difference in our weddings would be food. It would be photographers. Gifts are brought to an American couple. Our weddings do not require dowry. Nobody is paid for property. And in our weddings, we don't require the groom's family to pay for the bride, and we don't require that the gifts be brought to those people. Next, let's discuss a little bit about the woman's role in the relationship. If you're in a Hmong marriage and you're a woman, you're expected to cook, clean, and take care of the children, which is very similar to our weddings. You are now responsible for your in-laws. If your in-laws pass away, it is the bride's responsibility to bury them. You're also responsible for other immediate families' financial issues. Once you marry into a family, you take on that family's issues. You can be forced to marry if you dishonor your ancestors, and you will have to leave your family immediately. Let's talk a little bit about the married couple and the children. As I've stated, males are only on the family tree. That also goes for the children, according to Wikipedia. Hmong female children are often treated like their mothers. Hmong children can become grandparents, nieces, nephews, or older children to younger people in the family. So it also works in reverse. So if there is a divorce in a Hmong family and they have a baby, you can now be considered a grandparent. I'm not 100% sure how that all works, but it's a very confusing concept. In conclusion, Hmong weddings have a different tradition compared to American weddings. I've covered what I learned at the wedding. I've covered the differences between the weddings of an American wedding and a Hmong wedding. I've covered traditions and a little bit about the family and the couples. The Hmong traditions are very different from American traditions and celebrations. It showed me the fundamental difference of being a woman in an American wedding and a woman in a Hmong wedding to be treated as property, which was very difficult for me. Had I grown up in this culture, I may have been able to accept that, but as an American woman, being treated as someone's property is very hard to swallow. My coworker, who was wonderful enough to allow me to witness this whole wonderful wedding, was forced to marry her husband at the age of 13 in a Hmong ceremony. She had fallen asleep with a boy that she barely knew in the basement of their home watching a movie and shared a blanket. Her mother had discovered them and said that she had dishonored her family and her ancestors, and she had to leave her home. So the boy that she was with had to call his parents and bring her home, and they were forced to get married because they had dishonored their family. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you got some out of this and you continue to research. Thank you.